This is VOA News. Via remote, I'm Diane Roberts. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has announced more than 35,000 people have died in Turkey as a result of last week's earthquake, making it the deadliest such disaster since the country's founding 100 years ago. Confirmed deaths passed 33,000 recorded from the massive Erzincan earthquake in 1939. Almost 3,700 deaths have been confirmed in neighboring Syria, taking the combined death toll in both countries to more than 41,000 people. In a surprise move, Scotland's First Minister for the past 8 years, Nicola Sturgeon, announced Wednesday she's stepping down from her post. VOA's Jeff Custer has more.
At a news conference from her official residence in Edinburgh, the 52-year-old Sturgeon said she was resigning as both First Minister and head of her ruling Scottish National Party, or SNP. She took office in 2014, not long after a referendum on independence from Britain fell short by 10% of the vote. Among other issues, she's been pushing for a second referendum, saying the support is there, but Wednesday said perhaps she was no longer the one to lead that effort.
Since my very first moments in the job, I have believed that part of serving well would be to know, almost instinctively, when the time is right to make way for someone else. In my head and in my heart, I know that time is now.
Sturgeon said she will remain in office until her successor is elected. Jeff Custer, VOA News, Washington.
At least 33 people have died in Panama after a bus carrying more than 60 migrants fell off of a cliff early Wednesday. This according to an official from the country's migration authorities. This is VOA News. The European Union's top diplomat urged countries to join Germany in sending tanks to Ukraine. EU Foreign Policy Chief Josep Borrell told Germany's Phoenix broadcaster, quote, "Countries must deliver as many tanks as possible and as quickly as possible," end quote. The remarks were published Wednesday after media reports that Denmark and the Netherlands said they would not deliver Leopard 2 battle tanks like Berlin. NATO defense ministers held a second day of talks in Brussels on Wednesday after Jens Stoltenberg's warning earlier this week that Ukraine could run out of ammunition. The ministers were set to discuss ways to supply the war-torn country and bring peace that Vladimir Putin says he wants. Canada's Anita Anand.
Well, if Vladimir Putin wants peace, he can leave Ukraine. Until that time, we need to continue to do whatever is necessary to support Ukraine's sovereignty and stability in the short and the long term.
They are discussing three main categories of aid: air defense missile systems, continued 155mm ammunitions, as well as tanks. Cameroon's health ministry has dismissed a report of 2 suspected cases of Marburg virus in the country after a first deadly outbreak in neighboring Equatorial Guinea. Even so, Cameroon's health ministry says it's increasing surveillance and travel restrictions along the border. Here's Moki Edwin Kinzeka for VOA.
Health Minister Manauda Malashi says Cameroon does not yet have any suspected cases of the Marburg virus, despite reports of 2 possible infections. Health officials in Cameroon's south region on Tuesday said a teenage boy and girl suffering from high fever were rushed to a hospital Monday in Olamze on the border with Equatorial Guinea. The health officials said the children were suspected of being infected with the Marburg virus, are in isolation and are responding to treatment. Marburg is in the same family as the Ebola virus, but unlike Ebola, there are no vaccines for Marburg, just treatments from the symptoms such as dehydration and fever. Moki Edwin Kinzeka for VOA News, Yaoundé, Cameroon.
The European Medicines Agency expects COVID vaccination campaigns to be conducted once a year, similar to the approach with flu inoculation, it said Wednesday. Though the COVID-causing virus is not yet behaving like a seasonal virus involved in winter waves in temperate climates, the EMA's head of health threats and vaccines strategy told a news briefing that, quote, "this might be the direction it will be going," end quote. From Washington, I'm Diane Roberts, VOA News.
Please subscribe, like, or comment. Thank you.